Well, good evening, everybody. It's Thursday night, 7:23, and you know what that means on our Facebook page. It's the Rumble Mumble presented by Fatheadz Eyewear. And Kyle, we're here back in the studio.
And last week you mentioned we were 56 days away from the Rumble in Fort Wayne. We got to do some quick maths here. Now we're 49 days away from the Rumble in Fort Wayne.
And you did that without the use of your computer. I'm pretty impressed. 49 days till December 16th when we move into the Allen County War Memorial Coliseum for the 23rd Rumble in Fort Wayne presented by Jason Deach Trailer Sales. For everybody that's been following the Rumble Mumble, Kyle, you know that we've been featuring primarily the drivers through the years and introducing the personalities of the people involved. 2 weeks ago, we went up to Cherubusco, Indiana, and talked to R.J. Saylor, and that was a really huge hit. So tonight, we're going to branch out even further, and we're going to go into the Rumble Mumble staff. And probably one of the most visible staff members is the flagman. And we're very honored to have as our Rumble flagman the official starter of the Indianapolis 500, and that's so neat. And ladies and gentlemen, without any other further introduction, Tom Hansing. Tom, welcome to our show.
Thanks, gentlemen. It's nice to be here, and weather started cooling off, so it does mean we're getting closer to the Rumble.
And the neat thing about the Rumble, it's indoors, Kyle, climate controlled, and it's a race indoors.
Yeah, nice and warm. And, you mentioned, like you said, we've interviewed all sorts of different personalities on this show. But Tom, you are the first Rumble official that we've had on this show. How does it feel?
That's concerning. I mean, we've got Larry, so I mean, he should technically still be the first one.
That's fair.
Well, I don't know about that. It's the whole team, and we're so glad to have you on the team. And Tom, you're going from a 2.5 mile oval, the greatest spectacle in auto racing, and yet I don't know how many times you've told me I love the Rumble. What is it about the Rumble that stands out to you?
It's the atmosphere that gets created not just by the drivers, but everybody in attendance. It's an event, just like the 500, but definitely on a lot smaller scale. And you get to know people, you get to know fans, you get to know the drivers, their families, so that the personal interaction, and it's kind of what I've taken away from even with my time at USAC. You get to know people, and that's what keeps you coming back for more.
Can you kind of speak on some of the differences? They're turning 8-second laps inside Fort Wayne. As far as actual flagging goes, what are some of the differences?
Really paying attention. I've had some moments where I forgot where the leader was and start praying that we have a yellow. And yeah, I'll admit to doing that just to help me get back on track and go from there. Had the night where I unfortunately took a trip to the hospital when a midget decided to come up and try to join me. But just a lot of just trying to stay focused.
Many memories. And, as we were driving down here to the Fatheadz Studio today, Kyle and I were talking. He says, how does the flagman count laps? And I having also flag and the go-karts and stuff like that, it's easy. You sit there and you're counting the laps, and you've got a good handle on it. And then, boom, there's that yellow flag, and the concentration's completely gone. And that's when you rely on the headset and the score.
Oh, definitely. You try your best, even on a quarter-mile dirt track. Yeah, I try to count laps, but once you get busy with the famous flag that Larry does not like me to use, the blue flag, you forget where you're at because now you're concentrating on a different aspect of the race.
Yeah, I know a lot of drivers try and count laps, and I've never really been one to be able to do that. But I don't know, and you guys have probably just as much, if not more, to pay attention to when the race is going on. So I don't know how difficult is that to try and click off laps at 8 seconds a pop.
Pretty difficult, but then I got to worry too about what the guy on the infield's looking at me. I'll get the Larry stare or the kind of the shrunk down shoulders, and it usually means I've done something wrong.
So it's not just drivers.
Oh no, it's not just drivers that get that look.
Yeah, Tom and I have developed quite a rapport over the years, and I really enjoy working with you, Tom. But one thing that really stands out to me, and I think you'll get where I'm going here. You deal with all the Indy drivers and, the personalities and everything. But you've told me, at the Rumble, we have so many different divisions. But you tell me I really love flagging those quarter midgets.
Quarter midgets are fun because that's the next generation, and hopefully they're going to stay with it as they age up and progress through the ranks. I mean, that would be the greatest accomplishment that we as workers for the series can get to see, is we'll see them in a full-size midget in 4, 5, 6 years.
Right. So what people don't understand, Kyle, and I think Tom will step in on this, is the level of concentration. It's not only here, but your body is like really, they don't understand how tense. I mean, you really are. It's not just a matter of waving a silk flag around. It's your whole body gets into it. And then you have this other factor. You're right above the midgets, flagging them, and they're spewing out that almost pure alcohol, and it's coming right up to you. And, so you're battling that and trying to count laps and maintain your vision.
Yeah, that gets kind of tough at times. I mean, we've run into situations during the years where we've had to stop the event because the fumes have gotten so bad. And there's been times during those stoppages, you just feel your eyes start watering. And even when we've been fortunate to get long runs, as the runs get longer and longer, the vision does go away a little bit, and you pray you don't make a mistake, because ultimately my responsibility is to make sure the drivers are safe, and that's the key to everything we do.
You definitely have to be brave, flagging above the midgets, but I always thought you and even Larry with the go-karts, flagging the go-karts, you're standing on the track, feet away from, these guys' helmets. Is that more scary, or is the midget scary?
At times, I think they are, because you don't know what's going to happen. The midgets, I can kind of react based on what I can see coming at me. The go-karts, if I kind of step back from the wall a little bit, I can't see them. And there's been a couple times I've started to step back out, and there's been one, and it's like, okay, that was too close for my liking.
Kyle, this would be a great time to remind the folks of every one of the divisions that competes inside the Rumble in Fort Wayne.
Yeah, we have, 2 straight full days of racing. We have the newly sponsored Liuna non-wing 600 midgets, the North Baltimore Custom Cuts wing 600 midgets, obviously the midgets as well, and the brand new for this year, EveridgeAuto.com wedge carts. And
6 divisions of quarter midgets. So it's a full day of racing. And Tom comes up from Indianapolis. Let's touch a couple other things that, fans always have questions like, where do you go? How do you buy flags? Are they made? Is there a supplier of flags, or where do you get your flags?
Been very fortunate to get hooked up with a couple of different companies. Originally, it was Dynamics Design out of California. IndyCar starter Brian Howard actually helped do some of the original research and development on those flags, and had several sets of those. I've ordered a set from Flagman of America. I've now got a set from Professional Motorsport Solutions that Brad Hockaday has. So you kind of try to find a company that produces flags that you are comfortable with and you like, and that's kind of how I've done it all the time.
I've always had a burning question that I've never really got the chance to ask a flagman. Have you ever dropped a flag, or are you ever scared of dropping a flag?
Let's be careful on where you go on this one, Tom.
Let's say, yes, I have. I have dropped it. And I always joke when we get the honorary starters up in the flag stands with us at any event that there's 2 kinds of starters, those that have and those that will, and I've got us covered because I have. And it was at Richmond, Virginia during a Silver Crown race that preceded an IndyCar race.
Oh, wow.
And just didn't drop. It floated to the track, so I had plenty of time to watch it.
So this is where you insert the Larry moment.
Yep. Well, I would get the stare. And look at it and go, yeah, you're right, Larry. I messed up.
Or the time that you start the race with the yellow flag.
No, that was you that did that, and we aptly presented you with that yellow flag.
And Kyle, as a racer, this is interesting. It was a go-kart race, and here they come, 14 go-karts down for the feature, and for the green flag. And I'm looking at them, and I got the flag, and I just start waving this flag. And Tom looks over and goes, and I'm waving the yellow flag, and not a single driver even noticed it.
Did you give him the Larry stare then?
Oh, no, I think another starter was sitting up in the stands with us, and we were sitting there laughing about it, and so we actually presented him with a signed yellow flag at the next race we were at together at Eldora.
So, the unique thing about the Rumble in Fort Wayne, Kyle, you talked about the midgets. And Tom, with USAC, you get to see all the different types of midgets, primarily the national midgets. But, at the Rumble, we combine the national midgets, the regional midgets, the Canyon midgets, even some of the D2 midgets. They all come in and run under one umbrella. And so it goes back to that age like you talk about. We've got everybody, from when Cooper Klaus came in at 14 years old, and then you got Tony, just turned 50. You've got Mike Fedorczyk. You got all those age groups out there competing against each other on a 1/6 mile concrete oval.
It's pretty impressive to see the young guys hang with the veterans that have done it for so long. I mean, you look at how many times Tony's won that event, and then you come in and you get a young guy that just shows him up once in a while. And it's kind of interesting to watch it and watch the dynamics that play out during the race. And you can see the younger guys purposely trying to learn, and especially early on in the event during the heat races and stuff.
We ask a lot of the drivers, if you'd give one piece of advice to, someone new coming to the Rumble. But I kind of want to know from your perspective, you got the eye in the sky. If you were to give some advice to someone entering the Rumble, what would it be?
Patience. Take the time, learn the track, learn how others around you are going to drive. We've seen some unfortunate situations where people have put themselves in some bad situations, and the results end up a car's in the fence, or we've got somebody turned over. So patience and just taking the time to learn.
Okay, so tonight we're here at the Fatheadz Eyewear Studio. It's our weekly Rumble Mumble program. Our special guest tonight is our starter, who we share with the Indy 500, Tom Hansing from here in Indianapolis. And for those of you looking to come to the Rumble, follow our social media. Everything is listed on there. We have multiple channels that you can subscribe to, like on YouTube, but follow all of them, and we'll get those handles out to you. And then ticket sales. Tickets will go on sale. It was just announced last week. Tickets will go on sale November 8th, Monday, November 8th. We've reconfigured the reserve seating section. That's all explained on the website. Put that on your calendar, December 17th and 18th, 23rd Rumble in Fort Wayne, presented by Jason Deeds Trailer Sales.
Yep. So, Tom, obviously a pretty storied career in flagging. How'd you get started in flagging, and how'd you get started in motorsports?
Was a fan. Grew up down in southern Indiana, so I went to Hobstadt, Tri-State Speedway, and then used to go over to Kentucky Motor Speedway in Whitesville, Kentucky, where the Waltrip boys and the Green boys cut their teeth back in the day, as I'll say. My dad actually drove a 69 Chevelle at the two tracks, so I was around a little bit and got interested after I moved back up here from Florida. Started going to races for free and doing the gopher work, running lineups, lining up cars, whatever, and kind of fell into it. Started working some non-sanctioned events, flagging, got to go to some World of Outlaw stuff, and literally was in the right place at the right time. Unfortunately, we lost a really good starter from USAC, Wally Shear, back in 2001, I believe it was, and that's when I was fortunate then to make the move up into USAC, and kind of the same way from there to IndyCar to the SRO Motorsports America, which is a sports car series. Just kind of perfect timing.
You see at the races today, the junior flagmen, the kids that bring their little flag sets, and they're out there like by the fence row, and they're flagging the races. Did you ever do that?
I actually had a set from the Indianapolis Motor Speedway gift shop and would flag big wheel races in the driveway. That was my way. And then, of course, then the race would come on and everything would stop for me, and I would try to do the 10-lap rundowns as we heard them. But, yeah, I had my set.
Okay.
Would you ever want to get in the seat, or was it always just kind of flagging the races?
Oh, I wanted to drive, but knew that was not going to happen just because of how things were at the time. But I think any of us that are in the racing family would love to try something different. I've been fortunate to do the single-seater out at Indy, where you follow a pace car and you don't realize how close your bottom is to the racetrack until you go do it. And
so we know you basically as the Rumble flagman, the USAC flagman for multiple years, working with you over at Eldora and stuff. What else do you flag?
Get to flag the SRO Motorsports America, which is a sports car series. It's part of actually a global racing series. We've got 4 classes that we race every event. Also, they do an Intercontinental GT Challenge, which is supposed to be 5 races, 5 different continents. Of course, COVID's kind of knocked that down. We just We're fortunate enough to have the Indianapolis 8-hour a couple of weeks ago, and we had 40 cars take the green flag for 8 hours around the road course. So pretty impressive. And I think we finished 30 at the end of 8 hours. So that was a big accomplishment.
I met with our buddy Michael McIntyre, who does the video work at the Rumble, a little while ago, and he threw out an interesting kind of fact that you flagged all 3 configurations at Indy, and I think you're the only one to do that.
I believe so. Between the dirt, the road course, and the oval, I think the only thing I didn't flag there was the air races.
Well, Tom, Kyle, I just thought about this. We do a once a month iRace, a broadcast, the Racing to the Rumble, also brought to you by Fatheadz Eyewear, and that's leading up to the Rumble. I don't think there's a flagman on there.
There's a virtual flagman. It's kind of a meme. His name's Barney. I don't think he's as good as Tom here, but he's there-ish.
Tom, you talked about the unfortunate accident, where the car flipped up into the fence, and I believe the tire got you, or maybe the fence post, whatever. Kyle and I were talking about that. It's a 1.6-mile oval with 84 concrete barriers around, and you, at about 18 inches wide, you were the target. Does that ever enter your mind as a flagman, the fear factor?
It has. Unfortunately, that weekend, it really did the second day when I came back, and I remember you sent me the text message that night, hey, we hope to see you as a fan. Your stuff's in the office, and I'm thinking, I've got 4 months off if I don't climb back up there in the first few sessions. I was scared. I won't lie. But yeah, it does. I mean, there's so much that can happen, but not just us. I take concern for the people that are sitting behind us in the stands, because there's so much more that could even get up to there with the events that we put on.
Mm-hmm.
So after a close call like that, what made you want to get back up there?
Just knowing I had to. And you heard it on the broadcast. They talk about drivers getting back in the seats after some pretty violent wrecks. And that's, I think, the same thing I did, is I knew if I didn't get back up there, it was going to stew in my head that, okay, I could have been hurt a lot worse than I was. And it was just time.
Just get bucked off the horse and get back on the saddle.
Yep.
Yeah. Well, if anybody's familiar with the Rumble and it's gone, Tony Barhorse started it 23 years ago. And for about 18 years, the front stretch was directly in front of the fans, and you had your back to the fans. So 5 years ago, we switched it over and we reversed it, and we put the flag stand on the back stretch, which became the front stretch. So now the fans are looking right at you. Are you aware of the fans? And I have to ask you this question. What about the guy in the grandstands that yells out at you that you screwed up and that you're stupid? How do you, does that play in at all?
It just takes place at the stare that I would normally get from the infield. No, a lot of times you hear the fans do that. I mean, I've heard them when I've done the dirt races at Eldora. I've heard fans pretty much tell me how bad I sucked. You have to put it out of your head, because I probably did mess up. I'll be the first to admit to it, but they're not seeing the same things that we're seeing. And so, but yeah, it's different not being directly in front of the fans. I mean, I can't have the fans bring me sodas and beverages and food like they used to.
Now it's just Larry.
Now it's just Larry.
Yeah, well, it's we're just part of the show. We're entertaining the fans. That's what it's all about. But Tom, it's really neat to see you participating in. You come all the way up from Indianapolis. You jump off of work on a Friday, drive all the way up I-69 to get to Fort Wayne, and get up there on the flag stand. And for those of you that aren't familiar, this is not a racetrack. It's a racetrack, but it's in the same building that maybe a few weeks ago they sold Vera Bradley purses in, or something like that. It's a bare coliseum with a concrete floor. They bring in portable bleachers, nice portable bleachers, and we build a racetrack. And it's literally a racetrack that's put up for 2 days of racing.
It's impressive, all the work that gets done and what goes into that. I know you're up there pretty much the entire week before we ever get up there, and I get the benefit of not having to do all that setup work. But just the way the event clicks on. I mean, we start at 8, 9 o'clock in the morning, and yeah, we might run till 10, 11, 12, but we get up and do it the next day, and it's the exact same program. So everybody knows what's expected from the time we start to the time we get done, and that's what makes the event it is, and that's what makes it worth driving the 2.5 hours up to.
So excluding obviously your favorite event in the whole wide world of Flag the Rumble, we talked about all the different kinds of cars that you flag. What's your favorite other than the Rumble?
I think for any open wheel flagman, the ultimate is to get to the Indianapolis 500, and I was fortunate. I've worked 14 of those in the flag stand. I've got the distinction of waving the twin checkered flags to the one with no fans in the stands. That was kind of eerie. It's an eerie looking photo to see nothing but metal on both sides of you.
It's, the Indy 500, you talk about the drivers when they drive down that front stretch and look into turn one, and it's just all those people. It's got to give you chills, like when back home Indiana and everything's going on, the pre-race, and, you're up there. It's got to give you a unique feeling.
It does. I mean, every time you drive into this motor speedway, you get chills. It's just a special place. All the history, all the drivers that have been through there, the fans, the officials. I mean, everybody that's been a part of that place. It's a very special place to walk into.
And I'm not trying to take anything away from the Indy 500, but I've been lobbying Larry. We need back home again at the Rumble. I mean, it's a historic race too. It's it's the first USAC race inside the Coliseum. How do you feel about that?
Why not start a new tradition?
There you go. And the Rumble is a tradition. And as Kyle mentioned earlier in this broadcast, 49 days away, December 16th, we move into the Allen County War Memorial Coliseum. We race the 17th and 18th, 2 complete programs. And if you're looking for a place to stay, we've negotiated some great rates with 2 of our host hotels. We have the Holiday Inn, Purdue, Fort Wayne, directly across the street. And then that's $95, but they have the swimming pool and they have the bar, which racers seem to like bars. But then for those of you that are more family oriented and want something place quiet and with a complete breakfast in the morning, we have the Sonesta Select, which used to be the Hyatt place, and that's $75. They have those rates now until December 4th.
Yep. So get those in. Racers, get your entries in. You can download those on our website, rumbleandfortwayne.com, and we'll see you in 49 days.
And Tom, we're looking forward to you bringing your flags in. And one last question before we wrap this up. How do you get your style? Tom has, I flag the go-karts a lot, and I've flagged, a lot of different racetracks, and I just do the old traditional figure 8 type thing. Tom's got this thing that goes, I can't do it. It goes like this, and then he goes backwards.
I have no clue how I came up with that.
It's your style.
It's my style.
Well, we're going to wrap this up, Kyle. So great to have Tom here in the studio as we introduce not only our drivers, but the people that make the show happen.
Yep. So thanks again, Tom, for being here and talking with us. And just a reminder, ticket sales go live. Ticketmaster and Rumble in Fort Wayne Coliseum box office, November 8th. And we'll see you guys in 7 short weeks.